Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is that time of year again. You know the one.
Oh, I know.
You open your phone, you check your news feed, and what is the very first thing you see?
Lists.
Lists
Yeah.
everywhere. Top 10 diets, top 10 movies, and of course the one we're all a little obsessed with, the top 10 cities to buy a home.
We love a good ranking, don't we? It's just human nature. We want a scorecard, a simple answer.
We want to know if our city made the cut.
Exactly. But the source material we have in front of us today from Keeping Current Matters suggests that these lists are, well, they're showing something very different this year. They're revealing a massive paradox in the 2026 housing market.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going. We're looking at data from Zillow, Realtor.com, some great analysis from economists like Selma Hepp at CoreLogic. And usually you expect these lists to,
Yeah.
mostly agree.
Sure, maybe a different order, but the same names pop up.
Right. But this year, it's strange. We're seeing two completely different lists describing two completely different realities.
It's the tale of two markets. That really is the headline here. And if you take one thing away from this deep dive, it should be this. The idea of a single U.S. housing market
Capital M, singular,
is effectively dead, at least for 2026.
which is a huge problem. You hear a news anchor say home prices are up nationally, and you just naturally assume that applies to your cul-de-sac.
And that is dangerous thinking this year, financially dangerous. We are seeing a massive split. The market is fragmented in a way we just haven't seen in a long time.
It's like using a national weather report to decide if you need an umbrella.
Perfect analogy. You could be in a thunderstorm while the town 2 hours away is in a drought.
So our mission today is to tear down that national average. We need to look at why this split is happening and, more importantly, give you the tools to figure out which side of that divide you're on.
Absolutely. Because the strategy you use to buy or sell depends entirely on that answer. No generic advice today.
Okay, let's start with the why. The source material leads with this concept of a great divide. And they lean on analysis from Selma Hepp, the chief economist at CoreLogic.
Right. And she points out something really distinct. She says, and I'm quoting here, regional differences will remain pronounced.
Okay, that sounds like typical economist speak.
It does, but the drivers she identifies are the real story. She boils the entire migration pattern of the country down to just two factors:
And those are
economic opportunity and relative affordability.
economic opportunity plus relative affordability. It sounds simple, almost too simple.
It does, but there's a huge shift in behavior hidden in those four words. I mean, think about how people used to move, say, 10 years ago.
Sure.
You'd move for a high-paying job, even if it meant living in a tiny, overpriced apartment, the classic San Francisco or New York story. You tolerated the cost.
Right, or you did the opposite. You moved somewhere just because it was cheap, the whole drive until you qualify thing.
Exactly. It was an either-or choice. But Hepp's analysis suggests that in 2026, people aren't compromising anymore. They're hunting for that sweet spot.
So it's not just where can I get a job?
No, it's where can I get a solid job and where will that paycheck actually give me a high quality of life? It's like an efficiency algorithm for living.
I like that. An efficiency algorithm for living. And that's what's creating the split.
Precisely. The cities that offer that balance are seeing demand skyrocket. The cities that have broken that equation, either too expensive or not enough jobs, they're seeing things cool off fast.
Which creates this one-size-fits-none environment. It explains why your cousin is in a bidding war, while your friend's house has been on the market for months.
And trusting a national headline in that scenario, it's just not going to help you. It doesn't apply to your life.
So let's get into the specifics then. Let's talk about the first side of this coin, the seller's paradise. The source material points to Zillow data for this one.
Yes, Zillow identified a set of metros that are really poised to be strong seller markets in 2026. These are the places where that opportunity plus affordability equation is just firing on all cylinders.
Okay, but define strong, because I feel like every homeowner thinks their house is the hottest thing on the block. What metrics is Zillow actually using here?
Right, and they're not just looking at price. Price is a lagging indicator. It tells you what already happened. They're looking at three forward-looking metrics.
Okay.
First is buyer demand. This is basically digital body language.
Yeah.
Page views on their app, saves, shares.
So just eyeballs on the property, top of funnel interest.
Exactly. Second is pricing momentum. Not just are prices high, but is the growth accelerating? Is that curve bending up?
Okay, makes sense.
And third, and I think this is the most tangible one, is speed.
Speed. That's the one that changes the psychology of a whole neighborhood.
Right?
When a for sale sign basically becomes a pending sign over a weekend.
It changes everything. Zillow is tracking the time from listed to pending, and in these hot markets, that window is just shrinking. Homes are flying off the shelf.
So paint the picture for me. I'm a homeowner in one of these Zillow list cities. I put my sign in the yard. What happens next?
If you're in one of these areas, you are likely getting multiple showing requests in the first 48 hours. You have leverage because the inventory is so limited that buyers are competing against each other, not against you.
I can picture the open house. Everyone's awkwardly shuffling around, pretending not to listen to the other couple talking about where their sofa would go.
It creates urgency, and urgency is a seller's best friend. It means a shorter time on the market and, much better odds of selling at or even above your asking price. You're in the driver's seat.
That sounds like the dream. Put the sign up, sit back, wait for the money. But there's a big warning in our notes here.
There's always a reality check. The article says, quote, "That doesn't mean every listing is guaranteed success."
So the zip code alone won't save you.
No, and that's a common trap. A seller hears it's a seller's market and they get lazy. They don't stage, they don't clean, or, and this is the big one, they price it way too high. They add a little greed premium.
My neighbor sold for $500K, so mine must be worth $550K logic.
Exactly. But buyers are sophisticated now. They have all the data on their phones, too. If your house is overpriced or in poor condition, it will sit, even in a hot market. The sellers who win big are the ones who combine that market heat with great preparation.
So the wind is at your back, but you still have to actually sail the boat.
That is a perfect way to put it. You still have to sail the boat.
Okay, so that's the Zillow side, the seller's domain. But let's flip the script, because for the last few years, the narrative has just been brutal for buyers, especially first-time buyers.
It has been a really tough cycle, maybe the hardest barrier to entry we've seen in a generation. But this is where the tale of two markets actually gives us some hope.
And that's where the Realtor.com data comes in.
Yes. While Zillow looked at where sellers win, Realtor.com focused on where the opportunity is for buyers, specifically first-time buyers.
And I'm guessing the criteria for these markets are a little different. We're not looking for speed and bidding wars here.
Totally different. We're looking for what I call the holy trinity for buyers.
Okay.
Number one, more affordable prices. The barrier to entry is just lower. The monthly payment math actually works.
Which is the biggest hurdle right there.
For sure. Number two, housing availability. There is actual inventory. You're not fighting 10 other people for the one house that came on the market this week. You have choices.
And number three, because usually cheap and available means nobody wants to live there.
Right, the cynicism kicks in. But no, the third factor is strong local amenities and economic health.
Yeah.
These are not ghost towns. They have jobs, parks, coffee shops, all of it.
So why are they buyers markets if they're so great? That seems a little counterintuitive.
It could be a few things. Maybe new construction finally caught up to demand. Maybe prices just didn't spike as hard there during the pandemic boom. Whatever the reason, the balance has shifted in favor of the buyer.
The source material mentions there's a psychological shift that happens in these markets. It says the combination turns someday into this could actually work.
That is so powerful because for so many people, homeownership has felt like this impossible dream. In these specific markets, the anxiety just drops. You can walk into an open house and breathe.
That sounds civilized.
It is. You have time to think. You don't have to make a snap decision in the driveway. And critically, there's room to negotiate.
Negotiate? What's this ancient concept you speak of?
I know, right? We forgot what it looks like. But yeah, you can ask for repairs, for closing cost credits. In a seller's market, you ask for that. They just laugh and move to the next offer. Here, they're motivated to make a deal.
Okay, so we have the two extremes. Hot seller's market, opportunistic buyer's market. But I'm imagining a listener scrolling through these lists right now, and they don't see their city.
The missing list problem.
Yeah. They're thinking, great deep dive, guys, but I live in Peoria and I'm not on either list. So where am I?
And the source material addresses that directly. The advice is simple. Don't stress.
Okay, walk us through why.
These lists are national snapshots. They're highlighting the outliers to prove a point about how divided the market is. Just because your city isn't listed doesn't mean you don't have a market.
It just means you're probably somewhere in the messy middle.
Most people are. Most markets are a hybrid. Maybe you have low inventory, which favors sellers, but higher interest rates are dampening demand, which favors buyers. It's a tug of war.
And this is where the real strategy comes in. the practical application, because you might find yourself in what the source calls a mismatched situation.
Yes. This is where the rubber meets the road. You have to figure out where the leverage is and then act accordingly.
Let's role play this. Scenario A.
Hit me.
I'm a seller. I have to move. But my local agent tells me we're in a buyer-friendly metro. Buyers are picky. I don't have the upper hand. What do I do?
This is the humble pie scenario. You have to be aggressive on two fronts, price and prep.
Aggressive on price. Does that just mean cheap?
It means you have to price ahead of the market. You can't look at what your neighbor sold for 6 months ago. You have to look at your active competition, the other houses for sale right now, and beat them.
Price is usually the answer to that.
It's the biggest lever, but prep is huge too. In a buyer's market, buyers are looking for reasons to say no. A stained carpet, dated paint. Next.
You have to remove all the friction.
Exactly. Your house has to look better than the competition. It has to stand out to get any attention at all.
Okay, tough love. Now let's flip it. Scenario B. I'm a buyer. Save my down payment. I'm ready to go. And I live in one of those Zillow seller strongholds. What do I do? Give up?
No, absolutely not. Waiting is usually a losing strategy, but you have to change your tactics.
Yeah.
The strategy here is you must come prepared with your best offer.
And best offer doesn't just mean the most money, does it?
Money is a big part of it, obviously, but best also means cleanest and fastest. There is no room for hesitation. You can't say, let's think about it over the weekend. It'll be gone.
So you need all your ducks in a row before you even look at a house.
You need your financing fully underwritten, not just pre-qualified. You want to be able to tell that seller, this deal is rock solid, it will close. You need to look as reliable as a cash offer.
And I'm guessing no lowball offers just to test the waters.
Oh, that's a terrible strategy in a seller's market. You'll just alienate them. They won't even counter. They'll just move on. You have to go in strong.
It sounds like mindset is half the battle here, knowing what kind of field you're playing on.
That is it, exactly. And that brings us to the ultimate conclusion from the source material. You just cannot navigate this alone.
Because it's so hyperlocal.
Right. We can talk about these national lists all day, but your reality is determined by your neighborhood, your street.
Even your specific price point. The luxury market in a city could be cold, while a starter home market is on fire.
Exactly. A generic strategy is guaranteed to fail in 2026. You need that local expert who can interpret the data for your specific zip code. They can tell you, hey, I know the news says it's a buyer's market, but in this school district, homes are still selling in 3 days.
They're the ones who can tell you whether to sharpen your elbows or take your time.
That's the value. They are the filter between the national noise and your local reality.
So if we zoom out, what does this split market mean for the future? Is this just a blip?
Well, to recap, 2026 is the year of the split market. That's clear. The single national narrative is gone. But I think there's a bigger, more provocative question here, one that economic opportunity plus affordability idea really sparked for me.
What's that?
If people are moving specifically to where jobs and affordability intersect, are we seeing a permanent reshaping of where Americans choose to live?
Well, that's interesting. You mean we're moving away from the dominance of those few superstar cities?
It's possible. We might be watching the map of desirable real estate get redrawn in real time. For decades, it was all about New York, LA, San Francisco. But if the new algorithm is, where can I live a good life?
That brings a whole different set of cities into the spotlight.
Exactly. It's not just, where's the beach anymore. It's, where's the life I can afford? And that shift could change the landscape for decades to come.
That is a huge thought to leave us with. The map is changing, and your strategy has to change with it.
Indeed. An exciting time, but you have to be paying attention.
Well, if you want to geek out on the data like we did, check the show notes. We've linked the full article from Keeping Current Matters with all the references.
And seriously, connect with a local professional. Don't guess.
Great advice. Thanks for listening to this deep dive into the tale of two markets. We'll see you next time.